Hello and welcome to the Voiro Podcast. Anand is away on leave on a holiday in Goa, so Anil has very graciously agreed to fill in for Anand. Are you filling in very big boots, Anil?
Yeah, Anand used to do the intro. So.
Yes, I know. I can't do an intro as well as Anand, but Anand, we miss you, but we're going to try and make this episode worthwhile because Anand offered to dial in from Goa, but we were afraid that he wouldn't be very coherent, even though it's 11:30 in the morning. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about gaming, game stream advertising, and in-game advertising. And the reason why we picked this topic, although we've spoken about this a little earlier, is that there's been a lot of conversation around gaming, and I've also been serendipitously meeting a lot of people in the gaming industry. And recently in India, Ad Gully had their second edition of a summit called GameX. They call it GameX Summit and Awards 2022. And a lot of gaming companies, along with programmatic gaming organizations, came together to talk in this in-person event. And I think yesterday, InMobi also released a report on gaming, in-game advertising, and how people actually currently transact and buy ads, and why they buy ads, and what the efficacy of these ads are. So just a little bit of trivia on the gaming industry in India. It's on a steep growth curve, and it's expected to reach about 1.9 billion by 2024. That's a massive market. There are about 303 million gamers in India, and they're growing. And India has the largest fantasy sports market with a user base of 130 million. No prizes for guessing which sport it is or which company it is. Do you play any online sport, or do you know people who play any online sport, and what is your opinion about gaming in general?
Yeah, well, I don't play any online sports.
Damn it, both of us don't play online sport.
Yeah, but a whole bunch of people in the office do play, and a lot of them do spend money on this. So
Like real money?
Yeah, real money, and there's a lot of money, right? I have seen everyone from the shopkeeper to Swiggy delivery personnel to IT techies playing games. And
Yeah,
not
my mom plays a lot of these games.
Kids play.
Yeah, my kids also play a lot of these games.
So the best part of gaming is that there are multiple avenues, just like OTT, right? You have subscription, you have streamers, you have in-game advertising. There are a lot of avenues to generate revenue here, and I think gaming takes it one step further, wherein you can actually make money from the games.
Right.
The people playing the games can make money from the games. So there's a whole universe of revenue here.
I think McKinsey came out with a report on gaming, and real gaming for real money is the holy grail of why any gamer would play any kind of games. So when I went down this rabbit hole of trying to figure out gaming, game playing, and game streaming, I was wondering, why is game streaming even a thing, right? What is game streaming to begin with? I know Twitch is really big. There's a lot that happens on YouTube. I remember when we had first started Voiro, there was Tamil gaming.
Tamil gamers. Yeah.
Become Tamil, which you introduced us to, where people were recording themselves playing and talking in Tamil. And then recently I came across this company called Router. And last weekend, we recorded a podcast with the Indian Dream with Siddharth Betala. And so I was going through all of their old podcasts, and I found a podcast from Router, one of the founders called Piyush Kumar, and he was talking about game streaming and how they are capitalizing on streaming of games live. So the Siddharth was asking Piyush as well, what's the big deal about game streaming, and why is there even a market for it? He said something very, very interesting. So he said that the adrenaline rush that you get from watching somebody actually playing live is apparently something that everybody aspires for, number one. Number two is that most of the games that are being played, that are streamed, are usually first person shooter games. So it's like watching a war, or watching something that's going down, which is very, very exciting to watch. And he says that at all points in time across the world, there are people playing these games live. So you can actually switch on, say, Router or Twitch or even YouTube, and watch something live at any time that you want, which is the complete opposite of any other kind of live sport, because every other kind of live sport is appointment viewing. There's a match at a particular point in time, and there is, there are teams that are playing at a particular point in time. But here you're just watching anybody live.
So I think what gaming, the reason gaming is just like live sport. It's just like any other sport where people want to watch it for entertainment, for learning. It's very thrilling to watch because long before all the streaming happened, I used to watch people play Dota in my college. So I never got to play. I mean, it's not I never got to play Dota, but I never got into playing Dota.
But you were a fan, and you
I was
knew
a fan.
stats.
Yes,
And
I was a fan, and one of the biggest reasons why I never got to playing Dota was because everyone started playing Dota in the first or second year, and I started gaming like in the third year. And Dota was a game which had a very steep learning curve.
I see.
So I used to watch it. And it was pretty amazing the kind of strategies that were involved in the game. And there were you would just want to watch somebody else playing just to look at the strategy. It's like watching chess, but in a much more dynamic environment. Like chess streamers, like chess streaming is a thing, right?
Yep.
So it's very similar because unlike regular sports, there are a lot more strategies that can be at play, and it's a very democratized game. So anyone from anywhere can become good at it, and I think it levels the playing field at such a large level that you can be exposed to all kinds of strategies, and it's very interesting. For if you get the hang of it, it can get very addictive. And that's the reason why it is popular. It is very engaging. It is very popular, and it is like I said. The market for it can technically be huge. It can be anyone with a computer or a phone.
Right.
And
it's a matter of habit, right?
Yes. It's a matter of
And
habit.
people forming clubs and becoming fans of certain types of gamers. And even in this podcast, he says that you can watch your idols live. You can watch the people who are playing react to what you're saying to them or giving to them, right? You can give them a Coke of can. I'm saying can of Coke. You can tell them something that you want them to respond to, and they will. So it's you're interacting with your gaming sports idol in real time, and it's a big rush for fans and audiences as well. And you and I don't play it, and I'm glad at least you watched game streaming. I know that I watch my nephews and nieces at home when they're playing on our big screen. It's very immersive, so it's enjoyable to watch what they're playing. And I usually watch just like people driving on tracks, not really for shooter games. I'm not that particular audience type, but the engagement is, like you're saying, insane.
Yeah.
Right.
And because there are different types of audiences, like there are people watching it, people trying to learn, people just watching it for entertainment, people actually playing it. You can have advertisements and revenue streams for all those different types of audiences. You can have, of course, you can have the standard thing of placing ads in the stream itself. That is one thing. You can have ads which like banners, logos, those kind of things popping up for people who are actually watching it. Then you can also advertise for in-game
Placements.
Placements of external ads, yes, but the you can also sell objects in products in the ads, right? So in the games itself. My favorite my favorite sitcom, right?
Yes.
What is that? Silicon Valley.
Yes.
The Silicon Valley had this whole game called I think Gates of Galoo or something, in which of course the protagonist was like all against advertising, but the Gates of Galoo guys, they wanted advertising, and they had this very like contextual advertising which was inserted into the game, and kind of what is happening today.
Yeah. So for people in the room right now, there was a time when Anil used to be majorly stressed out in the first couple of years of Voiro, and we were like a typical startup, right? Trying to, like headless chickens running around, and there would be many points in time when Anil used to break the tension by giggling and saying, "Hey, this happened in Silicon Valley," and we all got hooked onto that show as well. It almost was like they were scripting our lives out before we even knew it. So yeah, so advertising opportunities in gaming are many. There's a plethora of them. And InMobi came out with this report in which they say 6 out of 10 advertisers have started leveraging mobile gaming advertising only in the last 2 years. And this is, when you say mobile gaming in India, because of the fact that we have aggressively adopted a mobile first way of life, not even like strategy or business or whatever. All of us are mobile first. I know you work on your laptop a lot, but I exclusively work on my phone. The only time I use my laptop is when I have peer pressure around me, and I open the laptop to make myself a part of this. But the the casual gaming has a lot of intrusive ads. And I know that when you play a free game, there are so many banners, and usually the banners are lead gen banners for other games as well. I came across another company called GameZop. Have you heard of them?
No.
Guy called Gaurav. So GameZop, what they do is that a lot of companies create content, and they have their they have engagement for, say, video content, or somebody's reading an article, etc. But those people over there could also want to play a game. But as an organization, you may not want to go in and build games like our dear Netflix, who has gone and built an entire ad rail, right? You could go to a company like GameZop, and GameZop actually gives you access to games within your own app environment, right? And then GameZop themselves monetizes it, and then gives you, the content owner who's hosting GameZop's games, 50% of the revenue or some kind of revenue share. So there are so many cool ways of including gaming into your application as well, as you are as you keep building audiences and giving your audiences a one-stop shop access to gaming. And we go back to this concept of ecosystems, and we keep talking about ecosystems, like how Amazon is building an ecosystem, Walmart is building an ecosystem, most of the large broadcasters are also building an ecosystem. It doesn't mean that you have to build everything up ground up. You can actually collaborate and build this ecosystem up again. The other thing in advertising is immersive advertising, where people don't want to be disturbed by the ads, but they are okay to experience an ad in an unintrusive fashion. We started reading about it first when Fortnite had a music arena, and they had somebody playing a music show in there, which was sponsored by some brand. Recently, Axe has upped their game on gaming advertising. Where do you think you'd see people actually doing a lot more in terms of advertising within gaming? Do you think that they will, like these banner ads, intrusive ads, will go away, or will it be a balance? How do you think everything will sort of in the next 2-3 years pan out for games? Because there is a very marked distinction between console games and mobile phone games, right? So what's your opinion there?
So I think see, for sports-based games, right, it's kind of simple, because sports, even when you watch sports live, there are a lot of positions for ads which anyway show up, and those are anyway becoming dynamic today.
Correct.
And I think in such games, showing ads, it's going to be pretty normal, and it's going to just be part of the game itself, like it's not going to be intrusive at all. Like seeing, when you're watching soccer, when you're playing soccer, you can just see the ads on the ground. That's going to be there. But I think the real tricky part is going to be for fantasy games, or more RPG games, which are
what is that? Or
role-playing games, like
role-playing games,
like
okay.
Warcraft or something, where you're in a fantasy environment where real-world ads don't really make much sense. So it could be you will have to, at the same time, you want to show ads at some place, right? So it could be outside the.
So you're saying a Coke can will not make sense in an RPG game? It's like Coke cans in Game of Thrones?
Yeah,
okay.
It'll be very out of place.
Okay.
But at the same time, if you're going to have a break in the game, or if you're going to have maybe ad breaks in the game could become a thing, right? Like that can be a thing, or
a game ad, like you play an ad within a game.
Play an ad, yes. That's interactive games are a thing. Like,
correct.
It's
brought to you by some kind of brand.
Yes. So that's what I think Axe is trying out. Right?
Yeah.
There's also, it could also be that sponsored like streamers could make sponsorships when they are talking. That could be a thing.
Yeah.
Just like how YouTube, I think most serious YouTubers are doing that now.
Right.
So that could become a thing, it could become a thing. And of course, advertising about games within games, that could be more natural. Like when you advertise other games within your games, or you could have side banners. I think that's still not so interesting.
Yeah, so banners and side banners are not very intrusive.
Yeah.
What I found fascinating was in Router, when I was poking around the app. One is the gamers themselves actually do and say things that are probably branded and sponsored. You could be, say, eating a plate of momos. Yeah. Drinking a particular kind of soft drink or a juice, or wearing some kind of clothes. Also in the chat section, right? And it's pretty extensive, because people are constantly interacting with the gamer as well as with each other as a fan base. Within the chat section also, they have little ad placements also. So I mean, that gives it's a little intrusive, but it at least, if I can see a future in which maybe it could be a representative of a brand that is a personality, because, you know, I don't know whether you know this in advertising, every ad has a brand personality. They try to
Yeah.
make it as a person, you know, what they do, what they feel, think, etc. So that could be something that this particular,
Yeah.
given all our robotic automation processes and bots and all of that jazz, it could actually become somebody or something that participates even in the fan base
Yeah.
for that particular space. So
Yeah, game like how we have sponsored bats in cricket, right?
right,
Sponsored bats or sponsored clothing in any other sport. Maybe that could become a thing wherein in-game objects can be sponsored
Yeah.
non-intrusively. It's not very intrusive if you do it tastefully. So maybe that's another opportunity for people.
Yeah. So InMobi saw 2x growth in ad spends on mobile game apps year on year. And the most explored formats for advertiser on mobile game ads include reward videos, playable ads, and interstitials. So we're still at the bottom of the rung,
Yeah.
right? We have really, in India at least, we have not really explored the canvas of how we can be more immersive. And that's, what do you think that's the reason why that's not happened? Is it because of, you know, the development time, because the market is still not mature, but we are still used to ads?
No, I think when you have ad supported streaming and ad supported situations, right? Like then you have to show the ad. You have to get that impression. So people will take the easy way out of actually like showing a banner or interstitial or something of that sort. But when you have advertising revenue which is like over and above subscription revenue, that's when you need to start thinking more smart. You are getting revenues from your subscription, you are getting revenue from your streaming. That's anyway a revenue that you have. But now you want to maximize your revenue by showing ads. Those ads cannot be intrusive. Those ads have to be more organic. I think that's when the market will be pushed towards more smarter solutions. Right now, because it's like TV ads, right? Like TV ads, you're making money like fast. You're making money from ads, so you can be intrusive because that's where you're making money. You put the ad, you have to watch the ad, you have to watch the pre-rolling, then you can watch the content. But the moment you subscribe, like I'm subscribing for my YouTube channel, I'm already paying. So now the ad better not be intrusive. It's got to be organic. You have to allow me to skip. Some kind of smart solution has to be.
True.
I think that'll come.
This goes back to what Piyush Kumar was saying in that in the podcast with Siddharth Betala. He said that customer retention is the bridge between growth and monetization. Right? You don't want to lose your customers that you've already gotten into the fold by either subscribing or subsidizing their presence by some kind of other revenue stream other than intrusive advertising. So you really need to be smart about how you advertise. Okay, so going on to the next topic that we decided we talk about today, it's something that's very, very old. It's been circling around for a long time. We've been talking about it in office. It started off with supply path optimization. I remember when one of the programmatic platforms, I think PubMatic, came out with it and was advertising heavily on it. And they were talking about how supply path optimization will help make sure that their servers are not overused, right? Where the same kind of ad unit is being queried by many providers. So seller-defined audiences came around and sort of found its presence amongst all of our conversations when this whole third-party cookie depreciation conversation came about, and there were so many different types of methods in which publishers could start owning their audiences. What do you think about seller-defined audiences? What's your top lines?
See,
what are your top lines?
So my top line is so long as third-party cookies are around, I don't think it's going to be mainstream.
Okay.
So there has to be now people are like kind of calling the bluff. Like people feel that it's third-party cookies are not going to go away because the deadline keeps getting extended. If that deadline is not going to get extended, it's going to be a big deal. Because the moment third-party cookies are actually going to go away, then seller-defined audiences become very important. But if that's not going to go away, then I don't think advertisers and agencies will want to.
Seems like a lot of work that they need to do, right?
Yes, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. If third-party cookies do go away, that's the kind of work you can't avoid at that point.
And you can't really start it at that point in time.
No, you can't start it at that point.
You need to have started.
So which is why people are spending time and money on that today. But at the same time, I don't think if third-party cookies are not going to go away, that'll always be preferred, because that already works. Everyone knows it works, and it gives you good audiences. Um, but yeah, on paper, this is a really good technology, because it gives you added privacy. It gives you it basically disassociates you from third parties whom you don't have to necessarily trust. But yeah, I mean, my view is that I still feel that third party cookies are a better
are doing a job right now.
They're doing a good job, yes.
Right. Yeah. What struck me was the finite number of audience segment that was quoted in that article, which was just 1,600. And then Rohan and me were talking in office the same day, and he was talking about how he went in and looked at all those audience segments and what they were called and what they were numbered as, and even when in the article, in the Adtech explained article, which is written by, I'll tell you what is written by Ted. He basically he gives you an example of how the entire script goes out, and you have to like really name and number each one of these seller defined audiences, like audience 306, 309, etc. There's one question that came up when we were both talking about it, was that every single audience type that was there, which would be female, then it would be female plus age, and be female plus age plus interest base, etc. And you have to really define every part of it. There is definitely going to be a problem of deduplication, right? How do you cross section all these audiences and come and target this person without bombarding them, or without with it being a cross section of all of these different types of audience segments? How do they do it today? Like what is, I know some of our customers use some level of audience defined, seller defined audiences, right? Yes. What do they do today?
See, sellers technically have an easier job than third-party cookie providers, because sellers are on your devices, right? They are on your devices. They know you, so they can take your device ID, your account IDs, and obfuscate that, and put you in a bucket. So and sellers also know information about you. They know your gender, they know your age, they know your location. So they have information about you with using which they can deduplicate stuff. The problem comes when you have to deduplicate stuff across sellers, because advertisers will want it across sellers. They'll want it across sellers and across their own data, by the way. It's not just sellers. They'll want to take their data also and put it into the mix.
Right.
So that's when it becomes challenging. Like, how do you figure out this guy is the same as that guy over there and not somebody else? So there are ways to compare. Clean rooms is one of the.
Is Achilles a part of this triangulation of trying to figure out whether, say, an advertiser's So a company like Achilles can actually.
Yes, that's the so when you have a third party that's going to be able to do this in a separate environment, that is a good solution to kind of combine all this data and deduplicate all these segments. So that's one of the solutions that could become popular if this catches on.
What about fraud? Like today, I'm saying that you're a DSP, I'm a seller, right? I'm giving you a decryption code, and that code is basically where you're going to decrypt whatever I'm sending across to you. So is there going to be somebody for sure in the middle to mediate between seller as well as DSP?
So I think that's what demand side wants. So I think by the looks of it, from what I read, demand side is wary about this seller side audiences. They don't trust it fully, because they're like, can you scale? Is there transparency? You're saying that this is the audience, but are you sure that this audience is that audience? Like, if you're saying that this is like a young audience, how can I trust the fact that you're saying it's a young audience, and why should I pay a premium for it? So I think the solution for that is probably to have a third party that everybody can trust, but who will be the third party? So these are the questions that will probably require answering in the near future if this has to become popular, irrespective of the fact that third-party cookies will want to go away. Because if the proponents of SDA want it to become popular, they probably have to try and figure out a way to make this popular, irrespective of third-party cookies. And for that, you have to get the demand-side guys into confidence.
Yep.
And for that, you will need some third parties like this.
Yeah. So it's funny that you said trust, right? And that's something that has been going around, I think, the world in different ways, in where people are trying to dredge up the concept of trust, and they're trying to recommit to why they need trustful relationships around, whether it's in business, whether it's employees with companies, companies with employees, whether it's between, relationships. We saw that COVID and divorces went there was an inverse relationship between them, right? And more recently, in the opening day of Demexco, which is something that we we wanted to go to, but we chose IBC this time to go to. And everybody kind of attended Demexco as well. I had like major FOMO for not attending this Demexco. So much so that Rohan said, why don't you just stay back and go? Because I was whining so much about how we should go to Demexco. But Google took the opening day and they spoke about trust. And they published an Ipsos survey that aimed at amplifying its message. And I've learned a new phrase. And I'm going to add it to my glass to glass phrase which I learned at IBC, which is positive privacy. What do you think about that? What do you think about the word positive privacy? I know that I don't think I may have like circulated this article, but if I just gave you this word completely in the cold, what do you think about positive privacy? Is it an oxymoron? Is it something that are two words that mean the opposite? What is it?
It sounds sounds like one of those things which is actually not good for you, but it's made to look like it's good for you.
Oh gosh.
But I think, I think for most people, right? For most people, either they don't care about privacy or they care about privacy because somebody's asking them to care about privacy. Like third-party cookies, right? Like I don't know if people would have, I mean, because of all the talk about third-party cookies and those banners popping up, that's why people even know about it. But at this point, I don't know how many people, the users actually care about that. It's the advertisers and the demand side and supply side guys who are fighting over, like trying to sort this out rather than the actual
Along
users.
with regulation, right?
Along with regulation, yeah. Regulation, again, it's not the end users. They're governments who are sitting in the middle. So, while you might say that, I'm going to buy an Apple phone because an Apple phone gives me more privacy, I'm not sure, like in a country like India, right, do people really care about privacy that much? So
yeah. How many times have you said no to accepting all cookies? Do you say it all the time?
I try, if it gives me an option to go ahead without accepting the cookies, I open that thing and like unselect everything and then press.
Wow.
Yeah, but most websites don't give that. You have to either accept all or you have to like go in and like unselect and so it's a pain, right? So especially if you want to accept European websites, it's very, very difficult to.
Very true.
Yeah.
So in this positive privacy message, they basically said that 71% of the respondents indicated a preference for brands that are honest about what data they collect and why. And they said that 4 in 10 respondents indicated that they would switch between competitive brands in response to a positive privacy experience. So I know it feels like just wordplay. I kind of get the sense, or I kind of get the vibe of what people are saying over here, saying that, I would like to have, you famously said this, right? Try switching off all your cookies and see what rubbish ads you get targeted. And the experience is horrendous. It's horrible. So, and as a consumer, you want to know about the brands that you want to buy. You want to know about experiences that you like to spend money on. But you don't want any kind of trash coming your way. So in that, I would like to give people my preferences, or brands my preferences, or websites my preferences. So I'm getting a positive experience on that site.
Yeah, but see, that's where I think, that's why I kind of tend to agree with this positive privacy thing, because we might all think that it's a great idea for us to give preferences. But many times if I ask you what's your preference, it's like those podcast or blog or music websites, music apps, right? Which when you log in and say, select your genre.
Yeah.
Right? And at that time, like, for example, I want to listen to like English, Hindi, Malayalam, Tamil. I want to listen to rock. I want to listen to pop. But if I unselect one of those things, I'll never be exposed to that ever. Right? So many times it's better for you not to make that decision. It's better for Google to like make that decision because recommend. Yeah, you'll probably like end up watching better content that way. In that way, I kind of agree with what Google is saying, like positive privacy. Like it's better to trust someone like a big organization like that, and they'll make those decisions for you. You might be stuck in a filter bubble, but it's probably better than a filter bubble that you create for yourself. Because if you create your own filter bubble, it'll be like really constricted. Because I remember I got into this YouTube music, right? YouTube music, I selected like very few types of music, and the only thing I used to ever listen to was Beatles and like some 70s music, which never like moved out of that. And I don't know. Like I also want to listen to like
Yeah, you want to have new stuff
Yeah.
shown to you as well, because you don't know what you don't
Yeah.
know, right? And this goes back to what Anand was talking about last time when we were talking about IBC. He's like, when we spoke about what do you think were missing themes in this whole in this conference, and he said, nobody spoke about privacy, and they spoke about privacy here in New Mexico. And the thing is that advertising and privacy kind of are on different sides of the same coin, and they really don't meet. And this positive privacy actually promotes a good advertising experience. It's to a good cause and a good end. And that kind of customer education and consumer education has to start somewhere. And it's usually the behemoths that take the first step. And I'm glad Google is doing this, and I'm sure everybody else will follow suit. But the bedrock of all of this is trust and building trust. And that's something that I think all of us should sort of ruminate over, think, introspect, and figure out where we're actually implementing, or where we're not giving trust the due that it needs.
Yeah, the sad part of the whole thing is, if you think about it, the advertisers more often than not are not, like, they are not the ones who are going to misuse all this data, right? So they need the data to show you relevant ads, and you want to see relevant ads so that you don't see like bad ads.
Yeah.
The people who will actually, in case something gets hacked or in case something like in your information gets leaked out, the people who are going to misuse that are a whole different set of people. So the privacy angle comes from that from that kind of thing.
From that extreme case.
Right? So I mean, it's a difficult situation to be in, because 99.9% of the time nothing's going to happen, but that 0.01% of the time, if something does happen,
it's catastrophic,
and your data can end up in like really bad places, and your credit card details can get leaked out. Like, people can guess from all this information gathered about you. You could probably guess something else about you, and then finally guess your password. And I think that's where we have to find a balance at some point, because you don't want your experience to be bad. The experience on the internet should be good, and for that you have to give up some information. If you don't give up information, it'll not be great, and that's not where you want to be.
True. Yeah. So customer retention based on trust, seller-defined audiences are things that are coming up in the future, which we need to figure out. Secondary.
Sellers do know a lot about you, and sellers in the sense in publishers, they do know a lot about you. And if that information is used correctly in a good way, you can actually be shown good ads without the need for third-party cookies. But like I said, the demand side, they will want more than that. They will not want to just deal with one seller. They'll want to deal with 10 sellers. They'll want to deal with their own data. They'll want to deal with data from other demand partners. And combining all of that, how will you do it? Then is there value in the audience, right? So third parties are, again, you need to bring some third parties. Then
correct.
Like, might as well do it through third party cookies. I don't know.
So CDPs are in for another change. Clearly. Anyway, so that brings us to the end of this week's episode. I hope everybody enjoyed listening to it. Thank you, Anil, for joining me this Friday, and we'll see you all next Friday.
Thank you, Kavita.
Bye.
Bye.